What is going on, everybody? Zyonik here, and in today's video we're going to talk about team building in the Ultra League, as the Ultra League has been out for about a week now, and I've kind of gotten a sense of the meta that everyone's running. So when it comes to team building, we definitely need to address that. Now, the reason why I held this video for a little while is I was kind of unsure how things were going to shake up. I knew Cresselia was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be this good. Now, me personally, I've gone from about high 23 to 2600s. I'm in 26, I think 15 right now, 2620. So I've kind of seen a lot of really skilled teams out there, and today we're going to talk about how you guys can address them and how you guys can build your teams for the Ultra League. Now, right out the gate, I'm going to let you guys know that there is no magical team. There is no perfect team that can beat everything. There's always going to be weaknesses, but what you want to do when you team build is the weaknesses that you do have, you definitely want them to not be hyper meta Pokemon. So over on the left here, we have what I think are the meta monsters. Now, there are tons of other Pokemon. Trust me, you guys are probably thinking to yourself, why isn't Gyarados up there? Why isn't Snorlax up there? Why isn't Giratina Origin up there? Why isn't Togekiss up there? Why isn't Escavalier up there? Well, they are all amazing, but what I want you guys to focus on is these 6 Pokemon because they kind of represent some of the best in their coverages. Cresselia, obviously, we know is amazing. Giratina Altered, we know. Swampert is here. It's amazing. It's been good since preseason. Registeel staple. Obstagoon is new, and you guys need to be prepared for it. And then Clefable really represents all those Charmers. Now, Obstagoon kind of represents some hybrid stuff. It represents some of those fighters, some of those normal types as well. And then great at countering, right, Cresselia and Giratina Altered and Origin as well because of the typing. But yeah, these guys, I think if your team that you build can handle these 6, you're going to have a really good shot at winning a lot of matchups versus some of the more unique Pokemon that you are going to see out there. That doesn't mean that Charizard isn't good or that Escavalier isn't good. It's just these guys kind of represent the epitome, and I don't want to fill this graphic up with, 60 Pokemon that I think are strong. So we're going to talk about team building, and what we're going to do is we're going to utilize pvpoke.com. If you guys are not on this website, you need to be here. This is how I know everything about PvP. If you guys are wondering, how does Zyonik know all this stuff? I'm on pvpoke.com, guys. This is amazing. They have a team building section, and they've updated how you guys can team build. They're going to give you categories and ranks based on different stuff here. So we have coverage, bulk, safety, and consistency, and there's letter grades. A being the best, F being the worst, right? So if you take your team right now, maybe you pause the video, you take the team that you've been running, and maybe you haven't been doing well with it, and you're wondering why, why am I not doing well? You plug it into the team builder here, and it'll give you a grade score, and I guarantee you, if you haven't been having a lot of success, the grades that it gives you is probably going to get a little less because the coverage or the consistency or safety isn't there. So we're going to talk about each individual thing. So coverage is the ability of this team to cover the meta, right? The given meta. The bulk is the thickness of the team. The safety is in extremely safe matchups. It's flexible and can easily pivot to regain advantage. Consistency, this team is extremely consistent and doesn't rely on shield baiting. That's going to be huge, right? Giratina Origin, right, with Shadow Ball, Ominous Wind. If you're going for shield baits, you have to rely on the fact that you have to land a Shadow Ball and you have to shield bait an Ominous Wind. That's less consistency right there. We want things that can really just bang a punch right away. Now, this first team we have here, I'm also going to give you guys team examples and how you guys can build. But this first team right here, right, it's got coverage. It's got good coverage. It's got a B. Bulk is A. Safety is A. Consistency is A. And you guys may be wondering, what is this team? Well, it's the team that I ran to climb 200 points. It's Cresselia, Swampert, and Obstagoon. They all have fantastic coverages on the meta. Yes, they are meta monsters themselves, but the Ultra League is very unforgiving this time around, everyone. I love the Great League because of the diversity. You could run a lot of unique stuff in Great League, but Ultra League demands a lot of meta. Some of Cresselia's biggest weaknesses are going to be ghosts and things that resist it, right? So steals, for example, like Registeel, which is why I have coverage in the back. I have Swampert and Obstagoon. They can handle a lot of the weaknesses that Cresselia has. On top of that, some unique movesets here on Obstagoon with Gunk Shot allows him to protect himself against fairies, gives me some of that extra coverage. Swampert having Mud Shot, Hydro Cannon, Cresselia with Psycho Cut, Moonblast, and you could run with either Future Sight, Grass Knot, or potentially Aurora Beam, potentially. But I think all 3 are viable. You definitely want Psycho Cut and Moonblast. Now, the reason why this has such great coverage is we take a look at some of the best stuff that's in the meta. it can handle it, right? We can beat a Cresselia, even though it says here that Obstagoon and Swampert lose to Cresselia. Depending on the matchup, Obstagoon can land super effective charge moves. Swampert's Earthquake still does quite a bit of damage, so it's very flexible here. But we have a lot of great coverage on the meta, and we're leading with Cresselia there because look at how many things it beats. The X, little X and big X are things that you can beat. So as you guys can see, the only thing I really lose to on the lead is going to be Giratina Origin and Registeel. I have counters for that in the back. Swampert, Obstagoon. This is why this team has worked so well for me. Yes, we lose to Escavalier, can beat our whole team, but that is very, very manageable, very flexible. I can tell you I've run into a lot of Escavalier leads, and I'm able to win that game because of how I play it. So this is just how I go about team building. Now, this is the meta breakdown section. These are the top 40 Pokemon that we see, and then there's also the potential threats, right? The biggest threat to this team is an Escavalier. But that is completely manageable with this team. 100% manageable. We got Hydro Cannon. Moonblast still does about a quarter of the health, plus has a chance to lower the attack. And then Obstagoon's Night Slashes, if loaded on energy, can really handle that as well. So I'm perfectly comfortable facing against Escavaliers. And Escavaliers aren't on everyone's team, right? It's a very, very strong Pokemon, but it's not on everyone's team. But guess what is? Like Cresselia, Registeel, and Giratina Altered. Now, if you guys want to see the battles of me utilizing this team, it's going to be popping up right here. You guys can go check that out. It is on the channel. But let's go ahead and check out some other team. All right, so this next team is a little bit more forgiving when it comes to its bulk. It's got the same score, right? Coverage, bulk, safety, and consistency, but it's not as super hyper meta. There's some more unique Pokemon in here, and I think more flexible Pokemon to use that aren't legacy. So we have Gyarados on the lead, Cresselia, and Snorlax. Gyarados' big weaknesses are going to be things like Cresselia, Articuno, Armored Mewtwo, but the thing is Gyarados also has access to Crunch and can win that lead matchup if it lands a Crunch or two. So it's very flexible. Snorlax helps cover that. And then Cresselia obviously is super strong. This is just another example. And how I go about making this, everyone, is I'll show you. So I'll take out Cresselia, I'll take out Snorlax, and what you can do is you can just put in Gyarados. Maybe you have a Gyarados that you love. As we can see, Gyarados overall, coverage is not that great. Bulk is not that great. Safety's and then consistency is pretty good. It does raw damage with that Dragon Breath, Crunch, Hydro Pump. Now it can beat Giratina Altered, Swampert, Registeel. That's pretty huge. Those are all three hyper meta Pokemon, but it loses to a lot of other unique stuff, which is why we need something to cover that. So if we scroll down right here, it'll tell us our biggest weaknesses, right? Grass, Charmers, they're going to absolutely destroy us. So it's going to give us potential alternatives. And this is where you guys can go into your own Pokemon, check out what you have that can help build around Gyarados here. So Cresselia is the #1 recommended Pokemon. So we'll go ahead and add Cresselia because I do have a Cresselia myself. And then we'll do another check here. So we have good bulk, we have good safety, we have good consistency, but our coverage isn't that good. So we need a generalist, right? If we go into something that's specifically covers one Pokemon, it's not going to have as much coverage, but we need a generalist right here. Now the things we're losing to, Alolan Muck, Berserker, Ferrothorn, Typhlosion, all these guys can beat our Pokemon. So what we can look here is that, okay, we can pick up a fighter, right? Heracross is going to do really well against the things we're weak to, but it also doesn't have the best coverage. It can go down relatively quickly to a lot of fast moves. So if we look for more of a generalist, something like Snorlax, even though it's #7, we could go with Snorlax right here, and then we can rate the team and then see what it says based on our coverage. And there we go. We've increased our coverage. We've got good bulk, safety, and consistency. This team is really thick, can handle a lot of the meta. And again, our biggest weakness being basically Melmetal and Cresselia as well, but Cresselia is manageable. We have Crunch, we have Snorlax, and then we have Cresselia Mirror as well. So completely manageable. This is just one way you guys can build a team. So we'll take a look at another team, maybe whose coverage and bulk isn't that good, but it can still handle a lot of the hyper meta that we are going to see because it has that consistency and safety. So what we're going to look at is Articuno, Escavalier, and Snorlax. So Articuno on the lead does really well, right? Ice Shard, Icy Wind is fantastic. If you can have Hurricane, that would be great. It helps pick up coverage against fighters and neutral against a lot of other stuff. And then Escavalier, right, to handle those Registeels that we could see, and Snorlax is a good safe switch right there as well. Articuno with that Icy Wind does really well at lowering the attack of your opponent so they do less and less damage to you. this team has a lot of great coverage. Look right there. Cresselia, Giratina Altered, Swampert, Registeel. We have an answer for all of those. Those are the 4 most common Pokemon that you guys are going to see in Ultra League, and this team can handle that. Now, it doesn't have the most bulk, and it loses to a lot of specific things, right? Charizard is going to be really hard to deal with, but you can manage that, right? You have Icy Wind, which is going to do neutral, lower the attack. You could swap into Snorlax, possibly win that matchup, farm on Articuno, you know, etc., etc. But basically, like, fighters, which we don't see a lot of. I mean, Obstagoon is there, but Obstagoon can be handled because it's 4 times weak to fighting, which is why we have Escavalier. So this team, again, isn't the best on paper when it comes to overall meta coverage, but if we take a look at the meta monsters that we see, this team can handle it very, very well. And saving the best for last. Now, you guys are going to completely understand why this team has the score it does, right? It's an A in all 4 categories, and it's going to make sense why. This is why meta is so strong, and honestly, I love Great League because you can get this score without like an Azumarill, right, or without a Registeel. You can get this kind of score with teams. But in Ultra League, you really have to go the super meta. So this team, it comes at no surprise, it's Registeel, Giratina Altered, and Cresselia. Like, comes at no surprise, triple legendary, triple hyper meta legendary, Registeel lead, Giratina Altered with Dragon Breath, and Cresselia, Psycho Cut, Future Sight, Moonblast. And this thing has the best score that I've seen yet on PV Poke. It absolutely destroys, and it, for good reason, right? It's all hyper meta legendary Pokemon, so trust me, I know a lot of you guys do not have these Pokemon. I myself can't even run this team. I don't have a Registeel. I do have Giratina Altered, which I invested in preseason, and I have Cresselia, which I invested in Season 2 now. Registeel I do not have yet. But if you have these 3 Pokemon, I mean, hey, this team is amazing. It's got amazing coverages. Its biggest weakness is going to be a Mew, because Mew is a box of tricks and it could really flip a lot of fights, but Mew cannot take out this whole team. Its other big weakness is going to be Registeel, which is manageable with an own Registeel and Giratina Altered. And then the rest of it, the rest of the meta, you have something it can beat. That's why this team is probably one of the highest ranks. I mean, overall score, I would love to know if you guys have found something with a better overall score. Where's the score at down here? I believe it's right there. 587 with 3 Pokemon on the Ultra League. That's absolutely incredible. If you guys have something better, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, that's just goes to show this is the best team when it comes to the rank, when it comes to the rating. But then again, this team, if it loses, like, say on the lead, you face a Heracross, right? So you swap in Cresselia, and then someone swaps in Registeel. That team can beat this team. This team is not unbeatable at all. But overall, it's got the best coverage that I've seen yet on the meta. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know down in the comments what teams are working well for you. Did this guide kind of help you? Does this meta monster list here on the left help you better understand what you need to prepare for, what you need to have coverage for, as these guys represent the best in Ultra League. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.